It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers. Ears up!
Welcome to the show, everybody. Ears Up podcast here. This is our first show for April, in case you're keeping track. And in case you're listening live, just so you know what months to go back and re-listen to, because of course you listen live and then you have to go back through and listen to us on the podcast so we get that download number, you know what I mean?
Listen to everything at least 3 times.
From 3 different machines.
Definitely.
Yes.
It just helps us.
It'd be great. It'd be really great. We have a good show for you guys tonight. Our friend Kyle is back on the show, and we're going to be talking about rock work, which, might not sound super exciting if you aren't really paying attention. Because if you walk around Disneyland and you're not paying attention to the rocks and how things are kind of constructed and placed around, you're missing a large part of the magic and a large part of how that land is laid out.
I agree.
So I'm pretty excited to talk to Kyle about this today. Sorry for that bad fade out, but because, Terrence and I were talking about on the other show. I want to know what rocks are real and what aren't.
I can't tell.
At minimum. And then I want to know, what I like about this topic is this. It's kind of like follows the natural progression of, hey, is that rock real? Like going into Tomorrowland. Are those rocks real? I think they're fake, but whatever.
Right.
And then you go, wow, that's a massive undertaking. And you go, did someone have to sculpt that as a model?
Right.
Like, just physically, how did it get there?
Right.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. And kind of, I almost said the future of rock making, which sounds stupid, so I'm not going to say it. But, that progressing to the Cars wall, like Cars Land. How was that done?
Yeah.
Was that hand sculpted? How did they manufacture all that stuff? That's the kind of things that we like to know about here on the show. So I hope you do too. It's going to be pretty interesting. But first, we have a couple things to get to before we get to Kyle. You can find us, of course, on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. Also on SpectroRadio.us. And what was Jeremy's new name?
Jermer?
Super hot babe.
Super hot Babelicious or something like that.
Oh, I must have missed something.
You missed something.
Yeah, you missed a lot.
It was
I forget what it was. Anyway, we're also on social media, of course, Facebook. Terrence has been doing most of the posts on Facebook. So any of the weird questions or math commentary or anything like that, that's all Terrence, and we love it because I don't do that. I think asking questions on Facebook is really annoying, which is why I've hidden Terrence from my personal feed. But I was like, you know what you'd be good at, dude? Taking over the Ears Up Facebook page and breathing some life into it because I'm terrible at it. So you've been doing a good job, Terrence. We did have a post on there about one of your friends did some math and figured out how her annual pass and what. It was kind of weird, fuzzy math.
It was off, and she asked me, she's like, yeah, why don't you see what people think about this? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I put it up
you
there
sure?
and just, like everyone.
Yeah, she got wasted. And then I did see she kind of replied. She's like, when she chimed in and said, hey, this is my post. I did this. I'm Terrence's friend.
Right.
And, someone said dude, and I don't know what about my writing means that I'm a dude.
Right.
And I really wanted to comment dude, I called my faucet a dude. Like, it's just, it's not really gender specific. Dude is... Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And that scene in basketball is...
Dude.
Dude is everything, anything, a verb, a noun, a pronoun. It's just, it is. A dude is a dude. It's almost like John.
Where's my car?
Dude, where is my car?
And by the way, basketball?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Terrible movie.
No, great
When was the last time you saw it?
A year ago, maybe?
Like not that
Really?
long ago.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I rewatched it again probably about that same time because I think it was on Netflix.
Oh,
awful.
so funny.
It's funny, but awful movie. Cannibal the Musical was much better.
No, I know it's a terrible movie, but it's hilarious.
You seen Cannibal the Musical?
I have not seen Cannibal the movie.
That's the film. That's the student film they did, or they did that film right out of film school.
Okay.
And it was funny. It was really good and hilarious.
I like their other one.
Terrible.
Yes. Can't talk about that. That
The
one's
superhero one.
hilarious.
Superhero one. Starts with an O. The big O kid.
Yes.
That's what you call it.
Oh my gosh.
You can send feedback on this show to Taryn. Any show suggestions or guest suggestions or topic suggestions, go to Terrence. You can say hi to Bev, and anything else comes to me. I'm Jason at earsup-podcast.com. You can support Ears Up via a number of ways. You can go to getcoviers.com and buy Coviers and churro shirts. You can go to patreon.com/earsup and become a Patreon subscriber or Patreon supporter, as a matter of fact. We just got a new $5 level today, as a matter of fact. And that's really the bulk of how you help those two ways. Go on our website, and there's a couple other ways to help us out as well. But yeah, getcoviers.com, man. We got custom Coviers. If your kid wants to design their own Coviers, you buy a pair of white Coviers, let them draw all over it. I think it's a great thing.
Cute idea.
Yeah, I thought so too. Don't forget Sabers and Superpowers, our second show here on Ears Up podcast. They have their own feed, so you can subscribe just to them if you want, or just follow along with us. And we push it out on. No, we don't push it out on our own podcast feed, but we push it out on our website, so you can go and pick and choose if you want. But support those kids too. Go to iTunes and rate them, and throw them a listen, a couple downloads and stuff. They're good kids and they're working hard. I think Anthony has just moved to Austin, and I think that they are going to be recording. They're going to try to record with Anthony being in Austin and the two other kids, Stephanie, I think, and I forget the guy's. Trenton, yes.
Yeah.
God, I feel stupid, but whatever. And they're going to be, here local. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a little transition period for the kids over there at Sabers and Superpowers, but support them because they're nerds.
It's a good show. It really is a good show.
It is, right?
It is.
They do all right. All right, Taryn, you want to do some feedback?
Yes,
homie?
sir.
All right, let's go.
Okay, the first one is from Leslie. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Leslie.
I'm listening to your January 31st podcast, and you were discussing whether or not you could book a fast pass outside of the Disneyland resort. I'm sure you have plenty of feedback about this topic, but I just had to add my story to the long list. My husband and I were at Disneyland for our 20th anniversary the first week of March this year. We flew home on a Saturday, and that night in Vancouver, Washington, we were able to make 2 different fast passes for Disneyland.
Terrence.
I thought it was
baby.
funny, and it helped me with my post-Disneyland depression. Don't laugh; it's a thing. But we
laughed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're jerks.
don't laugh.
Well, we weren't laughing at you. We were laughing at your comment.
Yes,
And we understand.
There you go.
but we also felt a little guilty for taking fast passes from someone who would actually be able to use them. Anyway, it is possible.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Right. Never cared.
Never cared. Anyway, it is possible, although it may have been a glitch and not the norm. Have a great day, and congratulations, Jason and Taryn, on the new baby girl, Leslie.
Thank you. Yeah, well, there you go, Terrence. Wait, where did Terrence fall? Terrence actually took our child. You could hear her in the background. I apologize about that, but we don't yet have a babysitter while we're working. Where did Terrence fall? Terrence, where did you fall on the could you make reservations outside of the park or not? Because these people just proved you wrong or right.
Yeah.
Whichever one you said.
I'm going to err on the side of wrong just because it's
Terrence.
Terrence, yeah. So
How's Planes 2 going?
Burn.
So I spoke to people who said they were able to do it. I tried it myself. I wasn't able to do it. I don't know. I mean, I think it came down to location services, because I had someone who had location services on and wasn't able to do it from their hotel, and then people who had location services off and they were able to do it. So I don't know.
Okay.
That's where I am.
Fair enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, hey, everyone keep trying it. I'm curious to see. And maybe
Try to do it right
maybe it's just in and out. Oh, yeah, Bev will try it right now. Go ahead, Taryn, please.
Okay. Well, I think you have to have a max pass to do it, don't you?
I have one. I'll try
don't.
it.
Oh, okay.
She ain't paying for that.
Next one is from Thomas. He needs help planning a trip.
Let's go, Thomas. Let's do this. Big trips for big dudes. Let's go.
Hi, guys, especially Bev.
Hi.
Oh.
I'm looking to plan a 4-day trip from Australia to the Disneyland Resort, both parks, for May next year with my girlfriend.
Okay, sorry. 4-day trip.
4-day trip. From
I hope you're doing something else. Also, because flying over for
that's a
Australia,
long
that's
flight.
a long flight, homie.
One of the days is just a flight.
I think he's talking about he's going to be in Disneyland for 4 days of the trip. That's my thought.
Okay.
It's a 4-day trip from Australia. That's what
Right.
it is, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the
He's
next.
just gonna
It's
turn around
literally
and go
the
back.
next line. I'm planning on staying 5 nights and being in the parks for 4. It will be my 3rd time, but my girlfriend's first. I'm tossing up whether to spend the extra money and stay within the park or stay externally. It's already very expensive flying from Australia. I'm wondering if you have any tips on how to beat or maximize the 4 days and best save some money. suggestions for where to stay, what to do. I want to make it very special for her. We are also thinking of going Disney bounding. I love your show and keep up the awesome work. I just became a Patreon, and I'm loving the secret shows.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. What's this young person's name?
Thomas.
Thomas. Thank you, Thomas.
So, actually, our next show is going to cover a lot of this, I think, too. Kind of, our next show's topic is it's being worked out still, but it's kind of like, we've been really negative about the parks and we don't want to go because it's so expensive and all this stuff. But like, there is still a magic there. And so how can you really maximize your time there and your budget?
Right.
So I don't have that. I don't have all the answers for you yet, but
when is he going? Sorry.
He's going in May
of next year.
Oh, next year.
So
Okay.
you've got plenty of time.
Plenty of time for it to change also.
Well, that's
and
true.
That's the hard part about doing these shows is it changes all the time because Disney raises their prices and hotels raise their prices and everything is higher and maybe not necessarily at the same rate. So
yeah, one thing I would say, well, so let's just take one of his
Oh, he's in the chat right now.
Yeah, would you stay within the bounds of the resort or outside?
I would stay. Let's go that. Go ahead, Bev. Sorry.
I was gonna say, well, you need to clarify within the bounds of the resort what that means. Like at a Disneyland hotel.
I think that's what he means. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
Disneyland
not.
Resort. I would if I'm coming from Australia for 4 days. I have the money to do it, and if I have the money to do it, I would stay at the park. Because it depends on how often you get to come back to the park. If you're not like Disney World, when we go next time, there's no way I'm staying at off-brand hotel 20 minutes off the John. There's no way. We're staying at the Poly for $1,000 a night.
Yeah.
Concierge service, penthouse suite. Let's do this big.
Dude, he's coming from a different hemisphere.
Yeah.
Ball out of control.
Right. Yeah, do what you can when you can do it, homie, because that's not, don't stay at the Good Neighbor Hotel and get like a free continental breakfast.
I'm the cheapest person alive. I would say try to get in at the Desert Inn, which is across the street. You'll save like $200 a night.
Homie, ball out of control.
Yeah.
For real.
That's how you make it special. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's how you make it special is staying on campus. Then you're still in Disneyland when you're not in Disneyland, and that's my favorite part about it.
Right.
It's going to be really expensive. But that would be my suggestion. And also, if you have flexibility on your days, go like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yes, what she said.
And then you're going to get a cheaper hotel. The park is going to be cheaper. Everything's going to be cheaper doing it that way.
Someone says the Grand Californian that it's worth it. I would say Disneyland Hotel is better.
I just
My
typed
opinion.
that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
I mean, the lobby isn't, but you're closer to Trader Sam's, and the rooms are pretty much the same as Disneyland Hotel, maybe a little bit less, and it's a little bit cheaper. I prefer it. But yeah, stay on the resort, dude. If you can. If you can. If you can't, then obviously, rent an RV or something like that. I don't know.
Well, and another way to make it special for her, if sounds like that's what you're trying to go for too, is make reservations. Don't just eat at the hot dog stand for 4 days.
Unless she likes that.
Well, unless she likes that, but I mean, I'm talking about making it special. Like,
Carthay.
Go to Carthay, have a nice dinner at Carthay. Yep. It's expensive, but unfortunately doing special things are going to cost money.
Thomas,
true.
Ball out of control, bro. Blue Bayou, do Carthay, do Steakhouse 55, do every other
piece of ambiance you can.
Cash out your 401k.
Homie.
Yeah.
Character breakfast, lunch, brunch, dinner, midnight snack. Ball out of control, bro. For real.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do one of the tours. VIP tours if they got them. I don't know if they have them anymore or not.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps sort of
bring this back to reality. Maybe look into that thing that you guys tried out. I forget what it was called, where it maximized your time in the park.
Yeah, the app.
Oh God, I forget what that was.
Called.
Yeah, I forget what that was called. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and listen to the next show because we're gonna try and give some more suggestions on this kind of stuff.
All right, what's next, Taryn?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, then let's call our good pal, Kyle. I thought there was another few. Can you hear her moaning and doing weird stuff?
Can you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't know if you can hear it like on the actual like microphone.
I'm just looking at her and her eyes are rolling back. It's like Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
Hold her up to the microphone. See if she'll make noises. She won't.
No, she won't.
She's just sleeping.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. Kyle, you there, dude?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, my friend. You can turn your camera off, and maybe we'll get a little better.
Oh, my God. Why does I keep doing that? But I will say that this is the best connection I've had so far.
See? We balled out of control.
There we go.
So you're going to talk to us about rock work, man. Tell me, tease us a little bit here with this, because I'm fascinated with it.
Well, so, rock is found all throughout all the Disney resorts. We see rocks thrown around small features like Tomorrowland's entrance, and around big attractions built out of rock like, Big Thunder Mountain in the old days, and today you have Star Wars Land coming up. And rock is actually really interesting because depending on what the application is, the rock's put in a different way. And we're seeing things done today that could never have been done before. And personally, I'm fascinated by it, and I thought that it's such a cool thing that Disney does, and is so unique that people would be fascinated by it too.
I agree, and I think we should have called this show "Are You Ready to Rock?"
Oh, that would have been a great name.
Disneyland Rocks?
Yeah.
Or as Bev over here is looking up The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, God.
My pictures are so much better than
I'm
yours.
about to take her computer away.
I think you should.
I just don't want anyone to take it for granted.
Nice, Kyle.
Wow.
Wow, Jungle Cruise
Jungle
jokes, huh?
Cruise.
That's where we are. That's where we are these days. All right, Kyle, let's get into rocks here, dude.
All right, so we're first going to talk about your basic rocks, which are little small stones you see everywhere, and basically the easiest way to get rock on the park, and that's just to acquire it. So acquisition, as I said, is the original tried and true method, and it's used basically, Disney will go and source rocks when they want to use it for something small or up close, because small rocks are cheaper, and up close is something that the guests are going to interact with, so it needs to be really pristine and correct. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. So small rocks are cool because they give you all that variation in stone, the real rocks like marble and quartz, and a lot of that's really hard to replicate. So what happens though is that if the rocks get bigger, or if they get really crazy, like rocks that you can only get from, say, South Africa, they might build those instead. And then they go to what they call rebar caged rocks. So rebar caged rocks is basically what your pool guy does, if you've ever had a pool put in or something like that. They take rebar, they kind of twist it around, they spray shotcrete over it, and then they call it a day. Now, your pool guy does that, and it kind of looks like stone, but Disney takes it to the next level. So they call these, so usually this method is used for like low walls, feature rocks, or something kind of middle in size or too big to acquire, or maybe farther away from the guests. But what they do is they create a drawing to kind of figure out how they want the rock to be, because everything in Disney is meticulously done. When I should have covered this in acquisition. When they do acquisition for rocks, they'll go to quarries and they'll say, I want that rock.
That specific.
Really?
They'll call out the
Wow.
rock.
Yeah, and they'll like probably pick through like 20 that might look the same, but they'll call it that one because it has the gradation that they were looking for, or it's the right shape, or anything. Because nothing's haphazardly placed in this park. Everything's manicured in all the parks. So, anyway, going back to these built rocks, they'll create a drawing, and then a modeler will actually take that model or the drawing, and he'll 3D model out the rock. Then a rebar engineer back in the day will take that and he'll bend the rebar and hand fold it to match the shape of the model, and then they'll cover it in metal lathe, kind of like chicken wire. Then that metal lathe is then covered in several layers of cement plaster, where each layer is stroked with a paintbrush in such a way so that it matches the real gradient and contouring of the actual rock. And then finally, an expert artisan is always used to do the top layer, where he'll actually go in and he'll carve in the small details that they look for. Then it's paint. So these rocks are really cool because they're like this is like the entrance to Tomorrowland rocks, or Big Thunder Mountain was actually done all this way. And I have a feeling that most of the rocks that you see when you're going to the new Star Wars land right now in Disneyland Park was done this way as well. So that's
crazy because they're like little pieces of touchable art. Like you can't just go through a ride and start touching all the rocks, but the rocks in Tomorrowland. And I guess we were talking about it a little bit before you came on. Like that's something that you see okay. I have to say it because you said it. Take for granted, because I couldn't say granted. That they've either always been there, or that they're real, and maybe that's the magic of Disneyland, where you walk in and you just assume that everything is real.
Well, no, I mean, and that's huge. And you touched on something actually that's really interesting. Like you talked about how you can interact with the artwork. Well, because it's made out of concrete, it's not actually as strong as real rock. Real rock is way stronger, and that's kind of why they like to source real rocks whenever they can. But when these applications get too big or something, they have to use something else. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's strange because I actually thought that all or most of the rocks in Disneyland were done in that fashion. Like when I look at things, a lot of times I'm like, it's fake. Because how the upkeep seems insane to have a real rock or real trees or anything. I just figured out they just did the whole thing, rebar, rock, paint. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially you can fall into that trap, especially when you're at a ride like say Thunder Mountain, because there's so much rock that sourcing it would have been too expensive and too hard. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about say stones or pebbles that are found throughout Tomorrowland or around, there's some real rocks in the front of Matterhorn, for instance. All those rocks that line the path there, those are all real jagged rocks.
Really?
Yeah, not the ones on the mountain itself, not the ones that make up the mountain, but the ones along the path. There's a lot of natural stones in the park. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then, going from there, these rocks, they're pretty cool. But if they get too big or ungainly, then the rebar's not going to get strong enough to hold it up, and additional metal supports might be required, which brings us to Disney's golden diamond gem of rock making that is bigger and bolder than anything else. It's called GFRC Rockwork Panels, and it's something that's patented, and it's something Disney does on their own with no one else's help. Huh. So what this process is first of all, by the way, this is how they can do mountains. Without this process, you could not do things like Cars Land Rock Wall, or even Splash Mountain wasn't able to be done without doing this process. So we'll get more into that later, but This is how the mountains are made. Okay. So what we do is we build a model of your attraction, your ride, or your mountain. Something at a scale that's workable. It doesn't necessarily need to be at scale, but it's a good model or a mock-up of what it is. Then what happens is Imagineering takes that and they stick it into a 3D scanner, and they scan it in full and drop it into a computer program called CAD. Okay. And then they take the geometry and they edit it to make it an actual ride. So, they built this nice mountain, but they have to fit a ride inside of it. So they need to actually make sure the shapes and everything are right.
Okay.
So once that's done, they take that 3D model, or that computer-generated 3D model, and they print it in 3D again now at a much larger scale than the original size. So if you're thinking about Cars Land, what they would have done is they would have said, okay, this is kind of the shape of the wall, and this is where these big rocks are going to go, and now we're going to print that out. And the rocks in this case are kind of just blobs. They're not formed or have any carvings. They're just like the general shape of it. Make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So these now bigger pieces are printed, and then another 3D modeler takes that, and they go through and they basically build in the stone, and they basically add clay and plaster or whatever working material they want to work with, and kind of carve in all the little details into the stone, or build it up or take it down, and they paint over it so that you get basically what the final design is.
Okay, so they do that over the blobs?
Yeah, exactly. So now what do you think you do with that?
probably 3D print it again at a larger scale?
You scan it. Well, you have to scan it, but yes. So you scan it back into the computer again for the second time now, right? Mm-hmm. And you take another program that's kind of like the first one, and this program takes your rock face and breaks it up into a grid. Now, each one of these pieces, now let's say Carsland probably had like 2,000 to 3,000 pieces at least of these grid tiles.
Wow.
Each one of these, so each one of these pieces now are taken into another computer program, and they figure out how they would actually build the panel itself. So in order to make that sheet of rock, where would I need to put rebar to reinforce it? How would I fold this mesh? And then where would I hang it to structurally hang it on a frame? And what happens is all that information is taken into a 3D model, and it's sent to another computer that actually will fold rebar precisely for them. And this computer actually will take that model, fold the rebar out to make the tab, and then lathe it again with the chicken wire type material to build this steel piece of rock face.
Jeez.
And they'll grid it. And you'll have, as I said, you'll have like 2,000 of these. Wow. So, meanwhile, while this is being done, the building's actually built, and a steel superstructure frame's going up, right?
Okay.
Now, each one of these panels come in, and the construction workers will connect panel by panel up onto the steel frame. And if you look back at construction photos from about 2 to 3 months ago, you can see them doing this at Disneyland for Star Wars Land. A great place to look. Can I mention another website that does photos?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
No, it's all
A
right.
great place to look is West Coaster. They take really good photos of Star Wars Land, and I like to look at their pictures for this stuff. So you can see it you can see them kind of tabbing it up and all that stuff. So anyway, these rockwork panels go up, and once the panels are up, they will then go in and they'll start shotcreting them layer by layer, row by row, and they'll do it over and over again. And each time they go, they will stroke down every last piece to make sure that the gradation matches the actual concrete rockwork. And then again, another trained artist comes in, and he comes in and he carves out the last layer. And then with these ones, because there's so much different paint that has to go into it, because the color has to change as it goes up high, an artist will come in and paint it as well with multiple layers upon layers upon layers. Now, the whole time they have the model that we talked about earlier on site to kind of compare it against and check against. And it's really interesting because you can see them on site with the model sometimes and then look at the actual item, and it will match down to a T. And the only reason that's possible is because we have this software to do the folding and the actual computers that can actually do the folding for us as well.
Jeez. What a crazy thing to build. Like just the software so people can build intricate and structurally sound facades and buildings. And I mean, I'm sure this exists for, other construction, not just Disneyland, but I don't know. To me, that's a weird concept even to get the framework, no pun intended, to do this kind of stuff.
Is the software is it like CAD and SolidWorks, or is it like actual in-house software that they design for themselves?
It's CAD and SolidWorks up front, and then it's in-house software at the end. Disney actually has a suite of softwares that they use in-house. They actually sell one of them. It's a CAD program, and I forget which one it is. But when they were building Expedition Everest, they ran into an issue. And I'm going to go on a little tangent here because it's a fun story as well. So that's the first time they had done a coaster in a mountain, other than Matterhorn, which doesn't really count. And they realized that if they had the coaster running through the mountain with all this concrete, it would actually start causing cracks in all of the concrete on the mountain.
Is it from the vibrations?
Yeah, from all the vibrations, yeah. Okay. That's steel. One of the reasons roller coasters are made of steel is so that they have give. Mm-hmm. They're made to give. They sway, believe it or not. The sway is really small. You wouldn't be able to tell, but if you watch some of these really lean steel roller coasters that are really long and have long track between supports, you'll notice that as a coaster goes through a turn, you can see the track kind of give and bend. And that's intended. So because of that, they couldn't actually build the track into the rockwork. It had to be a separate structure. So now you had a roller coaster track as a building, and then a mountain built around that. Now, it gets worse though. There's that giant Yeti on the inside of the mountain, and that Yeti was originally an animatronic as well. So that animatronic couldn't be part of the mountain because he was going to cause movements that were so big and extreme that he would actually cause damage to the mountain. And then on top of that, if it couldn't be part of the coaster because it would cause the coaster track to bend unexpectedly, and the coaster designers are usually third-party people that don't want to have to deal with that type of stuff.
Sure.
So now you have 3 buildings inside of each other, all layered together, and no CAD software could actually do that.
Wow.
So they made their own.
Why wouldn't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly. they did what they had to make it happen. So in the same sense, they have a custom program that does the paneling for them. It takes a structural engineer to do it, but they use the aid of the program to get it done. So kind of cool.
You said, Kyle, that a couple times now that Matterhorn doesn't count. Why not? Why doesn't it count as a mountain?
Matterhorn is a mountain, but it wasn't built with using these modern methods. It was done with wood and plaster, and Matterhorn does crack a lot. So they learned these lessons with Matterhorn. That's why it doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So they first started doing rebar folded mountains with Splash Mountain at Disneyland. That was the very first one. In fact, they went and did that when they realized that they couldn't do it by hand, basically. And that was a couple firsts for Disney. That was the first time they did a water roller coaster, and it was the first time that they did computer generated construction drawings as a whole. And because of that, something really interesting happened. When they were building the track for Splash Mountain, they started out building it with the hand-drawn drawings that were done by painstaking process that nobody ever does anymore. And they got about halfway through, and then they switched to computer-generated documents, and they went back to loop the track together and realized that at the drop, they were about 5 feet off vertically.
Oops.
It's probably a problem.
It was a big problem. So in Splash Mountain, how it has those 2 little dips in the track?
Yeah.
Those little dips were actually solutions to that construction defect, and they were added after the ride was even designed and pretty much built.
Wow.
So none of that was supposed to be there. And that's why at Disney World Splash Mountain, you don't have that, even though you have pretty much the exact same track layout.
I wonder why they just wouldn't build it in there just to make it the same. I don't know.
Because they didn't have the plans, really. They didn't. There was no plans for that. They were just like, it was a construction fix.
It was like
Does that make sense?
on site. Hey, this is a problem. Okay. Yeah.
It's like you built something with your Legos, and then you found out that you didn't have those pieces, but you have these pieces instead. So you patch something together, and then it's like, well, what do? Do you go back and you rebuild it with the old Lego drawings? You have to come up with new drawings. So.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is Star Wars Land? The reason I thought this would be a great topic right now is because if you look at Star Wars Land, and if you've been looking at Star Wars Land for the last few months, you can see it on display right now. Because Star Wars Land is some of the tallest and thinnest rockwork pillars Imagineering has ever designed, and I think it's really cool. In addition, if you look at all these additions that have been going on in the park recently, it's been a lot of rockwork. Like Cars Land has that giant wall that goes along it. And again, you could never have done that 20 years ago. You needed the technology you have today. The same thing happened at the back of Rivers of America now. You have a brand new rock wall that went in.
Yeah.
Avatar is tons of rock work with a huge rock wall and floating rock structures. That's some pretty crazy stuff, and none of this stuff could have been done without this technology.
Interesting.
That's wild.
That's crazy. That's crazy stuff, Kyle.
Yeah, so that's what I got.
So that's the rocks.
Yeah. So the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Terrence. You had a question? Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for putting that together. I thought that was really interesting, actually. Now, whenever we go to Star Wars Land in 12 years,
Right.
when it's not busy anymore, I can reflect on how they did it. No, it'll be interesting to watch that kind of stuff get put together, for sure.
Yeah, that's I think is the cool part, especially knowing that they have these artists that just do it, and it's been the same guy, honestly, the head artist that does it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. I think the first one he did was Discovery Mountain at Tokyo Sea, and he's been doing all of them ever since.
Wow.
And I mean, you look at Cars Land, that's impressive. That's a $1.2 billion rock wall right there, and it's pretty cool. Do you guys know? So actually, I have another random piece of knowledge. The only reason that rock wall exists is because of the power lines behind it.
Really?
I've
in
heard that
Cars-
before.
Yeah, when they were going and building in Cars Land, Disneyland has a berm all the way around it. And as a rule, you're not allowed to see anything outside of the resort from within the parks. And if they had built Cars Land without that giant rock wall, there's these big power poles that go up pretty high that used to be in the Pumbaa parking lot back there. That, well, obviously Cadillac Ranges is high to cover them. So what they did is they tried to underground them, but they were literally central high voltage. They would have had to taken the whole park and part of Anaheim offline in order to do the relocation. And yeah, it would have only been offline for a few hours, but you can't really shut down the city of Anaheim.
Well, I feel like if anybody could, it'd be Disney.
Well, right, exactly. But at the time, as always, the city has a lot of issues with Disney, and Disney has a lot of issues with the city, and sometimes that relationship is more strained than not. So what they did is they said, okay, we'll build Cadillac Range, and the top of Cadillac Range is those tail fins, and the tail fins were strategically placed in such a way to cover each one of the individual poles. So you can still see the lines every once in a while, but you can't see the post ever because of Cadillac Range.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yep. So there you go. There's my random fact for the day.
I appreciate it. Hey, now we don't need a fact of the show. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Kyle. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later, man.
All right. You have a good one, okay?
You too, man.
Bye, Kyle.
Have a good one. Bye.
Later. All right. I'm going to take this time to take a pee break. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, because this worked out so well in the last show.
Hey, I'm training you guys.
Why? What happened?
He left and Terrence was like, well, Terrence didn't do anything wrong. I just like to blame things on him, but we had nothing to say to each other.
Oh, so it's just kind of. Well, I think he cuts this all out anyway.
I hope so.
How's that baby working out for you?
She's adorable.
Thanks. She's pretty cute.
I keep thinking, I'll put her down. And then she looks at me like, don't you dare. Like, okay, my bad.
Yeah, try that at 4 a.m.
No.
That's when I'm like, you are cute, but come on, bro. She's a cute one. This West Coaster
Yeah,
that
I
he
was
was talking
looking at that.
about. Man, these are great photos. It's insane. I'd never heard of this website, but it's not just Disney. It's like Great America and like
Really?
yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. It's kind of wild. I kind of really like it.
Speaking of Great America, when's the last time you guys went there?
Forever. I think 8th grade.
It's been a while.
Actually, I would totally go there. We should do that this summer.
Where?
Go to Great America.
All right. But we have a baby. What's the baby going to do?
I don't know.
Get in for free?
Yeah, we'll just hang out.
All right. Okay, you guys want to do some Disney news?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
It's hardly ever dumb.
Let's do. That's true.
March in the past, present, and future with all the news that's fit to cover. It's the Ears Up Disney News.
Oh. I'll save that one. Here we go. Well, I should save this one too for the secret show. Yeah, let's save that one also. Red's Rocket Pizza Port. at Disneyland is to become Alien Pizza Planet. Because we don't have enough Toy Story in our lives.
I am so glad you're bringing this up because I am actually really excited about this because why did it take them so long to do this?
I have no idea. You're absolutely right about that.
There's the perfect pizza place in a movie that everybody loves, and they have a pizza joint that no one likes. Like, this is like the idea that should have happened 10 years ago. I'm really excited. I actually might try a pizza there now, even though the pizza's still gonna be gross.
I think it's gonna be the exact same.
But I want to go to Pizza Planet.
Apparently, they have pastas there that people on the Disney blog were like, "Is the carbonara or whatever it is gonna stay? The cream sauce with the cream sauce?" I love it. It was delish. Which, if you ever use the word delish in a, come
You
on.
suck.
Yeah, right. Anyway, first of all, I don't know. It's just an unfortunate name. Red Rockets Pizza Port. Red Rockets Pizza Port in Disneyland Park will transform into Alien Pizza Planet. Quote, a better place is what like the subtitle.
It's a
of
good
it is.
quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The aliens have sourced the finest ingredients from across the universe to deliver fresh, hot pizzas that are out of this world. A speciality, which they spelled incorrectly, of their home planet, Pepperonia.
Wait, what?
It's
Love
a
it.
special pepperoni pizza topped with green peppers and mushrooms. So are they saying the aliens' home planet is called Pepperonia?
Yes.
Yes.
This is exactly why backstories shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I actually
terrible.
don't
yeah,
care.
we don't need to know all this.
Well, but it's not even that. It's stupid.
Yeah.
You're giving them, is this canon? I need to know. Is this official? They'll also be cooking up a hearty cheeseburger pizza with ketchup, yellow mustard, and pizza sauce on a sesame seed crust and topped with cheese, caramelized onions, diced tomatoes, slider patties, and a house-made burger. Excuse me.
Whoa.
And pickles. Yeah, I got the sniffles, man. Which is why
You're a
we're
dad for a minute and you use the word sniffles.
Gotta go potty.
I do have to go potty.
This will happen in, this will be part of Pixar Fest at Disneyland Resort, which runs from April 13th through September 3rd. It will span both Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure. Excuse me, that was entirely rude. Including a new fireworks show, Together Forever, a Pixar nighttime spectacular. I don't know. They're doing with Pixar what they're doing with Star Wars. Apparently, just it's overkill.
It's strange
yes.
that Pixar. It's strange that Pixar is doing anything in Disneyland.
Right.
You're adding an entire pier
Yeah.
for Pixar. It's kind of strange to me.
That's true.
A third of DCA is now Pixar, and yet
Right.
here we go. Let's make everything Pixar because that's what Disney does. They can't just deal.
They're cross-contaminating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like, well, what else could they have done with that pizza place? Because it's stupid and sucks. But then I was like, oh, they could have been Ratatouille. But then that's Tomorrowland.
Or they could
I
just
don't know.
leave it alone and change the food. I don't know. Like
Well,
they could make it a round table. Who knows?
Make it super retro,
Yeah.
super retro.
Like they
and
have
that
the
would fit in.
sci-fi dine-in at
Yeah.
Disney World, which is awesome.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard. That's what I've heard.
It's
It's
really
really
cool.
good.
The food is awful, but
Make it a
it's,
Nemo-themed sushi restaurant.
but it's you guys,
Too soon.
it's also a rocket. Like you forget. Like it's okay.
Yeah, it's a
Kidding.
rocket.
I'm kidding.
I gotta stop. Excuse me. I keep sniffling in the microphone. 8 things, people, you need to know about this year's Star Wars Galactic Nights without a K.
Is that a movie? Oh, no, that's the. got
The
it,
one-night special event will return to Disney's Hollywood Studios, so it's not here.
It's in Florida.
It's in Florida, but
Florida.
I'm sure it's going to come over here at some point soon. It has to. It's on May 27th. So here we go. The event-exclusive projection show, Star Wars Galactic Destinations, will debut a new surprise planet. What do you guys do?
She's just cute.
She's just
Oh,
cute.
no! Out of the corner of my eye, it looked like you guys were gonna make out for a second. Like, so Terrence is holding my kid, and Bev leans in to look at the kid, but
I
out of the
have
corner of
my
my
mouth
eye,
open too,
yeah, like, out of the corner of my eye, it looks like you guys were just gonna like
Nah,
seal it with a kiss.
I was showing her.
Hard pass.
I was showing her that your kid was catching flies, like
That's
big
true.
time.
That's true. Guests can meet an array of legendary Star Wars characters, many who are available only during the Star Wars Galactic Nights, including Rey, Captain Phasma, someone called the Seventh Sister, I don't know, AWR Stormtroopers, I don't know, Darth Vader, and even Ewoks. Who's gonna be the Ewoks?
I wonder.
Fan-made droid builders, the international community of Star Wars fans who build their own replica robots, returns with new droids to surprise guests. There's a scavenger hunt. Anyway, everyone gets a poster. Like, this actually seems like a really cool event. Guess how much you think? Guess how much it is?
Like $50.
$150.
120.
$129 for adults.
Oh.
And $124 for children age. Okay, I think we've talked about this before. You guys might know about it. What is the cutoff between adults and children? Do you
10.
think?
I thought it was 9.
I thought it was 12.
It's 9.
Yeah.
Children 3 to 9, and guess how much it is?
You can save $3.
$5. Say $5, right? 124.
124. Did I already say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. 124 for children 3 through 9.
That's insane.
Are you?
That's horrible.
Trying to tell me that a 10-year-old you're charging a full $5? God.
The experience is so much better when you turn 10, I guess.
God.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That makes me so mad. But whatever. Here we go again.
You should be used to it by now.
I know, right? Let's save this one. Here's
So negative.
This is a good article. This is my favorite article right now. Actually, let's save it for later. Disney's ultra-realistic Millennium Falcon flight simulator will need 8 GPUs to run.
What's a GPU?
Yeah.
Like giga per unit or something. I don't know.
Like a flex capacitor.
Yes, exactly. No, it's like
A flex capacitor?
Flux.
that's
Whatever.
what you do at the
That's
gym.
what I know.
The beach is that way.
Flux. Whatever.
Flex it's just computer processing power.
I stand by my statement.
It's real nerdy. Excuse me. Disney is building a real-time, ultra-high-res flight simulator for Millennium Falcon, and they're powering it with 8 daisy-chained high-end NVIDIA GPUs. They're graphics cards.
I have no idea what you're talking
It's a
about.
graphics processing unit.
There you go. The experience, which is destined to arrive at Disneyland and Walt Disney World next year, was done in partnership with NVIDIA, Epic Games, and Lucasfilm's ILM-X Lab. When it's finished, guests at the Disney properties will be able to hop into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, fire the ship's blasters, and get the vessel prepped to enter hyperspace. I'm trying to read, but it is kind of more like text stuff. Basically, I thought that was cool because that's a lot of processing power.
Yeah, it is.
That is a ton. So this is going to look amazing.
So excited about this. And
Well,
don't feel like I'll ever be able to stand in line to see it, though.
No.
So like we
Yeah.
said, we have to rent a plaid.
Rent a plaid.
Rent a plaid. 1-800 rent a plaid. We have to get that person to take us there first on that ride.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be the only way to do it.
I know.
For the first 10 years.
Here's my favorite article. Mark Hamill thinks Disney may be making too many Star Wars movies.
Good.
In other news, water is wet.
Let's see. Mark Hamill doesn't think it's time for the Jedi to end, but he does think perhaps Disney should slow it down a bit. Promoting the DVD release of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Hamill discussed the growing slate of Star Wars projects Disney has lined up since purchasing Lucasfilm in 2012, and the accelerated pace of their release. The next film, a Han Solo solo story, imaginatively titled Solo: A Star Wars Story, hits theaters in May. Quote, I will say they should pace themselves because you don't want to oversaturate it. I said to Disney, really? 5 months after we come out, come Solo? Can't you at least wait until Christmas? Said Hamill, who has played Luke Skywalker in 5 Star Wars films. The Last Jedi grossed $1.3 billion globally, directed by Abrams. The J.J. Abrams directed and as yet untitled follow-up, which is Episode 9, is scheduled for release in December 2019. Including 2015's The Force Awakens and 2016's Rogue One, it would mark the 4th year in a row to bring a new Star Wars film to theaters. I agree. He says it's a canvas that's so infinite. He's told Cinema Blend, with the standalone films, they can all have their own identity. Rogue One can be gritty and like a war film, I'm assuming. I don't know, but I would assume that Solo will be more comedically oriented because he's a rogue, a scoundrel, and a gambler, and a womanizer, and all of those things. So there you go. Mark Hamill sides with Jason Petros. And that's what I got out of that article.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised they didn't have that exact sentence in there.
Well, they wanted a quote, but I didn't really feel like giving it to him.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to end the show because these other articles are going to be awesome for Secret Show.
Nice.
All right.
So when are we back again? And I know on a couple shows ago, we said that we would record and we didn't.
And then we
so we're
failed.
going to try this again. When are we back? Next Thursday,
Thursday.
which is the 12th?
I'm looking at a calendar.
Yes, I believe.
right
The 12th.
now.
Okay, so any live listeners who want to join us again, we're going to be doing that.
And 2 secret shows, right?
We're going to be doing 2. Yeah, we're going
That
to show
second one's
going
to
to
be
secret
a
shows.
train wreck.
Yeah.
It's gonna be weird. Why do we have to do 2? Are we?
We're
We're
behind.
behind.
Yeah, so this secret
Ah.
show for next week is for March,
Got it.
and then we also have to do the secret show for April, which we could
Gotcha.
probably stretch into the first week of May if we wanted to, but we can talk about that later.
Offline.
Let's see how sloppy next week gets, and
It's going to be bad, guys. It's going to be bad.
Wait, maybe we should start with a secret show.
No.
and then do the second
real
April
one.
show
And yeah,
halfway it. No.
Secret
No, but
show
just-
sober up during the real show.
no,
I know.
but obviously not get too messy.
Have you heard a secret show before?
No, I try not to listen to them because somebody likes to double my drinks.
I don't know who she's talking about.
I don't
Yeah.
know either.
Are you
I did
giving
just put
people
your kid
a?
to bed. That's the wrong outro.
I know.
Oh, you're just.
Actually, I potted it up to play the secret show, and then this thing is on autoplay, so it just happens to be playing the secret show theme song.
Oh.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, we're gonna get out of here. So if you're live and you want to join us next Thursday, the 12th, please do so. If not, then don't do it. I
Time
guess.
is to be announced, right?
If you
Yeah.
want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't.
Don't.
Makes sense.
Hey man, wherever you go, you're there. Okay, this comes from my new favorite book, which is Eat Like Walt, which I do want to get.
I contacted
this
her.
author. Oh, great.
Yeah.
This is we've talked about Walt's apartment before, and this is what a 1959 memo listed the supplies that are to be stocked in the apartment at all times.
Oh, I like this stuff.
1 Dubonnet. Look that up, Terrence. Dubonnet, which I'm just reading as 1 dub, which means that Walt likes to smoke. Walt likes to light up that fire.
Wow.
Dubonnet.
Yep.
Okay.
I bet it's something amazing.
It's a sweet. It's 15% aperitif.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh.
Perfect.
Of course, it's alcohol.
Number one thing is an alcohol.
Oh, don't get it twisted. We got
That's
way
my
more to go.
boy.
1 brandy, Courvoisier or Martel 4-star.
Pass the Cavassier.
2 bottles of Wolfschmidt vodka.
Bro.
2 bottles.
2 popping 2 bottles. 2 bottles of Beefeater's gin.
Did he die from cirrhosis or lung cancer?
3 bottles of Yellowstone bourbon.
Oh, okay.
6 bottles of Bev's favorite black and white scotch.
Wow.
Are all these restocked daily?
1 bottle of Harvey's Bristol cream. 12 bottles of Canada Dry Club Soda, small.
Well, of course. Obviously, you don't need the big cans.
Yeah.
12 Coca-Colas. 12 7-Ups. 6 Canada Dry Quinine tonic water, small,
Quinine.
quinine. 6 cans of Miller High Life.
Oh, the champagne of beer.
Yeah,
That
that's
boy.
my boy. 12 small cans of V8 juice. 3 cans of Smorgasbord peanuts from Candy Palace. 3 cans of Smorgasbord assorted nuts from the Candy Palace.
Two
There you
things
go.
are food, and
So-
everything else is either liquor or a mixer.
Well, V8 is kind of like a meal.
That's
Keep that
true.
straight.
That's his breakfast, right?
That
'Cause
boy.
That and some vodka.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
right, everybody.
a lot of liquor.
That's the fact of the show, and we're going to get out of here. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the parks.
It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers.